in the last stream, we were of course working on this behemoth of an automation setup for all of these different resources that, in fairness, are fairly easy to automate. They're mostly just items being dropped into liquid starlight right there. And the only real change that I've made between streams here is I've swapped the aquamarine automation and the ender pearl automation just to reduce our grid power usage. Previously, the aquamarine, of course, was over here, and this ender porcupine was pulling from that aquamarine storage drawer. And of course, the further away the storage drawer is from the porcupine, the more grid power it uses. So by moving this aquamarine drawer from here over to here, we're now using significantly less grid power. And so I think that now we're actually kind of just under the limit to where even if everything in our base is active and using like the maximum amount of grid power that it currently can, we should still be able to fly. I do at some point in today's stream want to look at getting both the dragon egg mill and our first dragon egg, neither of which I think is going to be too difficult for us to get. And of course, as we've mentioned before, once we do have that, we should be able to produce about 500 grid power on top of the 64 that we're already producing, which should hopefully be quite enough, hopefully be more than enough to get us going and keep us going through the next couple of streams. For now though, chat, the first thing that I would like to work on in today's stream is something that the Twitch chat has reminded me again and again and again to make, and that is the time in a bottle. This is an item from Random Things, and it's pretty neat in that it allows you to accelerate the speed at which certain blocks run. There is an information tab here in JEI. It says, this item allows you to accelerate the rate at which blocks tick. It passively collects time while in your inventory, which you can consume by right-clicking a block with it. The first requires 30 seconds, the second 60, then 120, 240, and the fifth right-click requires 480 seconds. So essentially, this guy is pretty easy to make, does require 2 diamonds, but we can get those with lapis. I think as of right now, we are actually quite low on lapis. Yeah, we have 3. So we can definitely go ahead and make the 2 diamonds. That's easy enough. However, we do need 1 more lapis to actually make this here. But essentially, you keep this in your inventory, and you'll see that it has an hour, minute, and second number. And the longer you keep it in your inventory, the more time kind of builds up inside of this bottle. You can then spend that time to speed up a certain block for 30 seconds. The more time that you use, so you can either right-click 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 times. If you right-click 1 time, it will take 30 seconds out of your bottle, and it will double the speed at which the block you are right-clicking works for 30 seconds, I believe. If you right-click it a second time, it takes 60 seconds, but then doubles the speed again for that 30 seconds. I believe that's how it works. It doesn't extend the period at which it goes faster, but it does make it go even faster. So essentially, this is going to allow us to make certain things faster for short periods of time as long as we have it in our inventory. And thankfully, it's not too difficult to make. So let's go ahead and grab a little bit of gold, enough to make a watch, and then also to make the bottle itself. Let's quickly go ahead and make that clock. And then, like I said before, the only thing we're missing now really is the lapis. The glass there shouldn't be too difficult for us to make. I don't know if we currently have any glass lying around. We totally do. Look at that. We have just the right amount of glass to make a glass bottle, which is perfect. And we are going to need, I think, a bottle later on down the line for these 2 dragon's breath here. So that is actually perfect. And yeah, the last thing we need is lapis. We do, of course, have some prismarine crystals over here. However, we do also need to get some prismarine shards. And so let's go ahead and temporarily kind of re-engage this guy. Are we actually fully out of crystals? We are. Okay. So one of the things I do want to do as well in today's stream is I would like to look at expanding the number of radiant resonators that we have working at any given time. I'm also kind of thinking that we might even just dedicate this kind of quadrant of the base to radiant resonators. As I mentioned before, I think the ideal setup for this is to have the ender porcupine in the middle and then to surround that ender porcupine with kind of concentric circles of radiant resonators, because that allows the ender porcupine to reach the maximum number of resonators using the smallest amount of grid power. So I think what we might do is we might move this kind of mechanical user ender porcupine setup to the middle of the platform and then kind of build, rings of radiant resonators, continually outward, potentially all the way to the edge of the platform here, right? They're not that difficult to make. They're essentially free. They're mostly just iron and gold with a bucket of water thrown in there. Of course, water is also free. And so we should probably look at doing that, especially given that we appear to be basically out of crystals at the moment. You know what? Let's do that. Let's quickly make some more of these resonators, chat. I see. Okay, so chat has given me a very handy tip, which I should have seen before. It does say that the crafting table can hold a recipe, but if you put a recipe into here and then click on one of these slots, you can save the recipe. Not only that, but then you can just click on the item and it will auto-craft it. You'll see we have 18 and then 19. So we can just grab 2 water, click twice, and we're up to 21. 2 water, click twice, we're up to 23. That is a fantastic tip. Okay, now we have this 7x7 grid of resonators. I think what we're going to do, I'm going to put the porcupine. Ooh, I probably want to put it a bit higher, right? Because we do want to make sure the porcupine is not in the radius of the block breaker. So I think what we might do is, you know, we'll put it 1 block lower. Yeah, we'll have the porcupine here. And we're then going to reconfigure this to go up 1. I'm going to reset it first. So we're going to reconfigure this to go up 1 in the Y direction. And then it's going to go up by, I think, 3 in both the X and Z direction. And I think that's going to be on all planes as well. Is that correct? Yes, I think that is now encompassing the whole area. So we're going like out 3 in the start direction and then -3 in the end direction. And that's creating this 7x7 cube here that is individually cycling through all of the crystals. So we're going to put the miner here. And then we'll put the porcupine here. That should cover the entirety of this 7x7 grid here. And so we should slowly but surely see all of those crystals harvested. And then down here, they're collected. Now, I think what I'm also going to do here, chat, we're of course going to have a translocator pulling out of this, but and we're probably also going to have a draw as kind of an intermediary buffer here. But I think what we're also probably going to do is, instead of having one ender chest responsible for all of the kind of crystal movement, I think what we'll do instead is we will set up a few different color configurations. That way we can split the crystals here, I think, into 3 ender chests, because we want to have, basically we want to try and evenly distribute our crystals so that some of them go to make these shards, some of them go over to make redstone, and some of them go to make nether quartz, right? So I think the easiest way for us to do that is going to be with a few more ender chests and a few more color configurations. So if we want to make more ender chests, it's just glowstone, ender pearls, gold, marble, and sooty marble. All of that seems very doable. So once we have 4 more of those, I think the easiest dye color for us to make is probably going to be red dye, because we have this redstone already. So let's go and drop some of that in here. That's not how you make red. Oh, it's in water, of course, you fool. Let me try that again, chat. So we'll drop the red dye over here. Perfect. And then let's go and let's set, for now at least, you to red, white, white. So now any crystals that are now pumped into this chest should, of course, no longer appear in here. And so what we're going to do is over here, we're going to have an item translocator there. We're going to have one chest here that's white, white, white with a translocator there. We're then going to get a few more translocators, because I believe you can use the translocators to evenly distribute the items. So yeah, once we have some more translocators here, the idea is that we're going to have another ender chest here, which is red, white, white, and another translocator. And I think if we set both of these to input, then this translocator will evenly distribute those crystals. We'll also do the same back here, where we'll have another kind of frequency. This time we'll go white, red, white, and that one can be for the nether quartz. And again, we'll put a translocator there as well. So now, if we do this, yeah, I think those are evenly distributed. Of course, these crystals in here and here are being used over in our automation area. These crystals in here are kind of backing up for us to make quartz with later, right? And so that way, we should be able to kind of run both of these setups at full speed without worrying about one of them kind of, you know, cutting into the other one's supply, I hope. Either way, we've got drastically derailed here, chat, because I wanted to make the time in a bottle. That was what we originally tried to make here. So if we want to make that, we need more lapis, which means we need the prismarine shards, right? So let's grab 9 prismarine shards, and then just as before, we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take that, craft those up into that sea lantern. Boom. And then, of course, once again, we'll throw this down and connect it up to our crystal. That should get us a block of lapis, at which point, chat, we should finally be able to make our time in a bottle here. So, now that we finally have the lapis, we should finally be able to make that time in a bottle, which I think might be a quest as well. It's not, but it's very much so useful. So, you'll see this is now ticking up slowly but surely. Once we get to 30 seconds, we would be able to accelerate our first items, and there will come a time in the future where this will become, I think, quite useful for us. For now, though, chat, the next thing that I want to work on, I think, is I would like to work on our Starlight Infuser. So up until now, if we wanted to make anything in the Starlight Infuser, for example, if we wanted to make a resonating gem, we would have to place in our aquamarine, right-click with the resonating wand, ensure that there is enough starlight in the altar itself, and right now I think this is the one that's missing. Right-click, and then if any starlight was used, we would have to go ahead and replace that starlight. However, there is an item from Astral Sorcery called the Containment Chalice, and this guy is a little pricey, but if you fill this with liquid starlight, it will automatically refill the Starlight Infuser every time you do a craft. And also on top of that, it will also mean that the Starlight Infuser uses less starlight as well, because I'm fairly certain that whereas right now we have to fill it kind of with a full bucket every time that a piece goes missing, using the Containment Chalice, less starlight is used. So this guy does require, however, the next tier of altar. Thankfully, I don't think this is going to be too difficult for us to make. If we look in the old Astral Tome here, and if we look in, I think, this chapter, yeah, we have the, oh no, that's focus crafting. That is my bad, chat. I think it's in this chapter. It is the altar. You can see it does require a new multi-block. Unlike the previous multi-blocks, it's not a complete reconstruction. It's actually kind of just a modification of the current altar that we have with some more marble at the top. So it really shouldn't be too difficult for us to do this. The only thing that's going to be hard here, and also let me go ahead and bookmark both the chalice and the altar for quick crafting going forward. The only part of this that is going to be difficult is the attuned celestial crystal. There is a quest for this up in the top right here. It says, tossing a rock crystal and some stardust in a pool of liquid starlight turns it into this weird crystal cluster. If you wait for it to grow and then break it, the resulting crystal can be used for bigger and better things. So, let's see then. Can we make a rock crystal? We totally can. I think right now we might be out of glass. We are. That does kind of lead me to a different side tangent. And that is that we can, if we want to, automate the production of sand. Much in the same way that we've been automating the production of cobblestone. So if we do kind of the same setup that we had before here, that of course being just a regular cobblestone generator, which for now we will do, I guess, like, that's not right at all, Isaac. Like this. We can actually do the same thing with liquid starlight. If we combine liquid starlight and lava, we get sand. And much like with the water, the sand is kind of continually breakable and replaceable for essentially infinite sand. Now, I think unlike with the cobblestone generator, where you want to have flowing water and kind of still lava, I think with the sand generator, you want to have flowing lava and then still starlight. So I think what we want to do here is I think we want to have like the lava flowing this way, the starlight here, and then if we break this block, that produces sand. We can then continually break that sand, and of course we can automate that using our good old friend the miner here, like so, and that is going to continually produce infinite sand, which is super nice. And I guess later on down the line we could also look at automating the smelting of that sand as well into glass. On top of that, if we really wanted to, we could go and steal some speed upgrades, which you can put into the miners to make them a little bit faster. Look at that. I love it. For now, this seems a little unnecessary. This will slowly but surely bank up on sand. And then, of course, for now, we can go ahead and smelt that sand up. We could probably do with looking at maybe an electric furnace that runs on our redstone flux as opposed to continually using these regular furnaces that we have. But for now, these are going to have to do. Once we have at least one glass, we can combine that up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 ice. That's going to get us our rock crystal. And then if we combine the rock crystal with the stardust in some starlight, and for now we'll do it over here, you and you, that should, if we leave it long enough, turn into a crystal. Now, I think the way this works is I think it uses the starlight, and I think you also have to wait a little bit after the crystal has formed for it to be actually harvestable. I do think it makes it quite obvious when you can harvest it. This is also where the time in a bottle can come in quite useful because we can use that to accelerate the growth of this crystal here. So there is the celestial crystal cluster. Right now, if I were to break this, I'm fairly certain that all we would get is stardust. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our time in a bottle and we're going to right click this 1, 2, 3, 4 times. That's going to take out half of our time. It took 3.5 minutes there, approximately. But that should be vastly increasing the speed at which this crystal is growing. By default, I do think these take quite a long time. I'm hopeful that utilizing this time here, we might be able to get this fairly soon. While we wait for it, of course, we can look at getting all of these other items that we need. We do need 4 resonating gems, and right now we only have the 1. Do bear in mind that the acceleration there only lasts for 30 seconds, so we do have to top that up every 30 seconds if we want it to keep going. Of course, we don't have that much time, so we can only really do it twice there, but I'm hopeful that's going to be almost done. So this is still not done. However, if we look ahead a little bit at the recipe for the containment chalice, it does require some star metal ingots here, which we of course do get from that star metal ore. So it's probably going to be in our best interest to get a couple of pieces of star metal ore here. Thankfully, that's now going to be a lot easier, given that we do have this sand generator at our disposal, so we can now make our iron ore much, much faster. So that is iron ore. We can, of course, give that a right-click with our wand. I think it's going to do all 7 at once. It does. Perfect. And then we'll begin, of course, once again, the process of turning that into star metal ore. All right. So after 3,000 hours, this one is finally done. If you press F3, in the bottom right-hand corner there, you can see what stage it's currently at. This one that we have over here is at stage 2. And this one is stage 4. Once you see these particle effects, it is good to go. So if we break it, we get not only our star dust back, but we also get our celestial crystal. This one has size 717, purity 49, and cutting 63. For our purposes, I don't think those numbers really matter too much because we're going to use this for crafting an altar. But I do believe for other aspects of Astral Sorcery, those numbers would be useful. We did also try doing some, try growing a crystal on star metal ore. It does mention in the Astral Tome that the clusters have a symbiotic relationship with star metal ore. Unfortunately, the star metal ore does turn back into iron ore if you don't leave it linked to the crystal. So I have relinked it here. Hopefully that will maybe relink fairly soon. But either way, we should now be able to actually go ahead and make this altar here. It is, of course, going to require that we actually give starlight to this altar, so we might have to kind of get rid of this crystal. It might just have to be one that we, count as a loss. But that's basically done. I doubt we have enough star light in here. Yeah, nowhere near enough. So let's go ahead and break this. It's unfortunate we do lose the rock crystal there, but I think that's going to be fine. We can always get another one fairly easily. Let's unlink you. We can then break this, and then let's relink you. At which point, if we then skip through to the night, and give this guy a quick right-click with the resonating wand, we should hopefully be able to upgrade this altar into the new iridescent altar, which is finally going to allow us to make the chalice to automate our infusion altar. Look at that. Perfect. Nice. We will pick that up because it's a quest to actually have it. There we go. Perfect. Throw it back down. So now, as I mentioned earlier, we do have to actually upgrade our multi-block as well. Thankfully, I think it's mostly just marble brick that we're adding to the setup here. So if we just turn all of this into marble brick, I think all that we have here is marble brick kind of here, 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 and here. And then along the top, we have marble in this kind of like L shape on all these corners. Of course, we don't want to have these ones here or here. But there you go. You can see it. You know it's working when this blue crystal arrives with this one. If we get rid of that, the crystal goes away. If we put that down, you know it's working. So this is good to go. And so now, this one is actually pretty interesting because if we again look in here, it says, while crafting, the focusing crystal will project a beam of colored light to an empty relay nearby, displaying an ethereal image of an item needed in order to continue. Testing shows these items should only be placed when requested and not in advance. So essentially, if we look at something like the Containment Chalice here, you'll notice that the recipe kind of exceeds the bounds of the crafting grid, right? There's a normal crafting grid, but then there are 5 pieces of aquamarine dotted around that crafting grid. So what we have to do is we have to place the items in the crafting grid into the altar. We then have to have enough relays, these guys here, the spectral relays, we have to have enough of these honors, in this case 5, to add all of these items after the fact. And as the altar shows you the items, you place them down around the altar. Once you have them all down, the chalice should be made. So we need, at the very least here, 2 star metal ore. I am going to go ahead and smelt up all 6 of our star metal ore, because hopefully we can get a couple of chalices here. The reasoning for that will become apparent fairly soon. And while we wait for that to smelt up, let's also look at getting 5 of these spectral relays. We can now, if we want, utilize our infusion altar as a way of making the glass panes, the lenses. It's a little cheaper in that it doesn't require the aquamarine, and it's also, you know, a more efficient conversion between glass panes and glass lenses. It's a 1-to-1 as opposed to a 4-to-1. And for now, at least, we actually only need 5 of these. Okay, so once we have the star metal ingots and we have the glass lenses, let's get some gold nuggets and then some planks. Do those need to be specifically any kind of plank? They are not. I thought for a second they might have to be infused planks, but thankfully they can be any plank that we like. And it does appear that we can use any marble that we like there, which is also perfect. So this does have to be done over here. I think we can still do regular crafts in here. We totally can. So let's give that a right click. Nice and fast. So we now have 2. Okay, I think that's because it's not night. Like, there's not a lot of starlight there. And it would also appear that the altar has kind of disconnected from our collector crystal when it updated. So let's quickly go ahead and reconnect this guy. And we'll try that again. There we go. So we now have all 5 spectral relays. Do we have what it takes to make our first chalice here? We don't. We're missing 2 resonating gems. That is very easily fixed. That's 1. And that's 2. Perfect. All right. So back over here, that should now be everything to make the containment chalice. So if we put that in, we do need enough starlight, which right now we actually don't have. Ooh, that could be a problem for us, especially given that our crystal is linked here. I think it's entirely plausible that we're not going to be able to do this, which kind of sucks. But we might have to, yeah, it looks like we're nowhere near in having enough starlight here. So I think we might have to get ourselves more collector crystals before we can actually get into the chalices here, which is unfortunate. It would have been nice to update and automate that infusion altar. You can boost your starlight more right now. How would I boost it? A small structure dedicated to collecting starlight for the nearby altar should solve that problem. A clear view of the sky is certainly a necessity, with better results achieved at night. When the relay has been placed high up, but close to an altar, it will collect and focus starlight once a glass lens is placed inside it. The starlight is then directed as small sparks at the nearest altar. Placing relays too close to each other will result in cannibalization of gathered starlight and will create much more disappointing results. Okay, so we can make these like little starlight altars. Interesting. It does say it needs a lens. I assume it's just the regular lens. Yeah, just a regular glass lens. Okay. Let's give that a try then. We have Sooty Marble. The Sooty Marble goes in the middle. I don't know how far away they have to be before they, quote-unquote, start to cannibalize each other. But let's try putting one just fairly close by here and see how that works. So we need 4 chiseled and 4 regular marble here. We will go ahead and get 1, 2, 3, 4 chiseled, and then the rest regular. So we are going to have to make more spectral relays here, I guess, if we're going to get this to work. But let's just see how much extra starlight we get here. That'll hopefully give us an idea of how much, like how many of these we're going to need. So here we are, kind of just about halfway-ish along this gold bit here. If I put a lens here, does that work? It doesn't appear to work. Am I doing something wrong here, chat? Sooty Marble. Oh, it's Marble Arch. That's my bad, chat. This is the wrong block. It is. It always looks like the same from the top, but this is Marble Arch, not regular marble. The corners are chisel, but the edges are arch. There we go. So now that is working, I believe. We can see the particles arriving there. Oh, look at that. That's actually a huge increase to our starlight there. I don't know if putting another one over here is going to be too close, but I think that's probably our best shot here. Where did I put this one? I put it on the edge there. So if we put this one like here, and we again go in with the Marble Arch, that might provide enough starlight for us to get this. Let's go get one more lens. Okay, so let's see here. If I put this in, that is another one. I'm hopeful that's working. This appears to be fine. Like, it's not even peak darkness, and it looks like we do have enough. So I'm going to give this... I can't give this a right click here, chat, because now that we've utilized 2 of our spectral relays, we actually have to go ahead and make 2 more spectral relays so that we can complete the craft here. So let's get 2 more lenses real quick. So that's going to get us 2 more of the spectral relays, at which point, if we then go to make the chalice here, which is missing 1 gold. We are also going to have to most certainly skip the night here, I think. Not only because I don't think we're going to have enough starlight, but also I think that this craft here for the chalice might take a while, and I think you have to have enough starlight throughout the craft. So let's go and skip through to kind of the earliest part of the night. So once we get to a point where we have enough starlight, which should be a few more moon ticks here. There we go. We can then right-click with the wand, and that's going to start the craft for the chalice. We do need aquamarine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to be specific. Ah, okay. So you put down the relay, and then after a second, it will tell you what to put on that relay. I think you can put these down ahead of time. Once all 5 are down, we then get this wonderful light show. And what we should see happen is we should see all 5 of the aquamarine get sucked up from their spectral relays, combined with the items in the altar to make us, look at that, a chalice. Perfect. Okay, so the idea behind this guy is that if we were to place him down, let's say right here, I believe the chalice can work on blocks within a 16 block radius of itself. So this is more than, within that 16 block radius. And then what we should be able to do here is we should be able to take our light wells that we made previously, put those down over here. One mistake that I made in testing, I believe the chalice needs to be able to see each light well. So if you do something like this, I believe the chalice is only going to be able to pull from this light well because it can't see these light wells, right? It needs a line of sight to each light well, I think. So I think we probably want to go with something a bit more like this if we're going to have, this many light wells down. Now it should be able to pull starlight from each of these. So if we were to, for example, grab some aquamarine and put that in. For now, we'll just put it in like here. And we have to right click that. That's my bad. What we should see happening is we should see this chalice pulling liquid starlight from this light well. Yeah, look at that. So you can see that the light well has starlight now. And of course, we can do that with the rest of these as well. So these are going to produce starlight. Obviously, going forward, we probably want to get some mechanical users down to automatically grab some of the aquamarine. We'll probably use like ender chests to move some of the aquamarine that we're making automatically from here. And in fact, we could probably just move the aquamarine generation actually, because this is quite a small kind of confined setup. We could even just duplicate it, right? We could just make another one of these setups over here. But essentially at some point, I think we will probably want to get mechanical users that will right click the aquamarine onto these light wells to keep them full up all the time. The idea here being that what should happen now is whenever we use the starlight infuser, if the starlight infuser uses starlight, like it has here, going forward, this shouldn't happen. Going forward, so long as we have starlight in this containment chalice, the starlight infuser should just pull starlight from here, meaning that we should be able to continually just make stuff in here without ever having to refill it. I'm going to test this a bit. Let's try and make like 10 resonating crystals and see if it ever like runs out of starlight. I don't believe it should. You can see starlight kind of moving, by the way, from here. There's like a particle effect that brings it over, which looks pretty neat. It's also faster, I believe, as well, than it was before. The only time this would ever empty, I think, is if we didn't have enough starlight in the chalice. But like I said, I think this actually also uses less starlight. Because each time this happens, each time it does take starlight, it only takes like, maybe a few millibuckets, maybe like 10, 20, 30. I'm not sure of the exact number, but it doesn't take a whole bucket's worth, to the best of my knowledge. You can see we're still like gaining, obviously, because we still have starlight being made. And so now it should be a lot easier for us to work with this. And also, crucially, going forward, it should be a lot easier for us to automate this as well. Now, the reason why I got so much starlight here is because I would like to make a few more chalices. The reason I want to make a few more chalices is that we can also utilize a couple of chalices, 2 specifically, to automatically begin to produce obsidian. So if we can get 2 more of these, which we should definitely be able to do, we have enough starlight here, and we have also just made some more resonating gems, so those should be fairly easily doable as well. Let's give this a try. Can we make another chalice? I think we totally can. Let's make sure we skip through, of course, to the night. There we go. Let's give you a right click. Let's wait for our instructions as to where to place our aquamarine crystals. And then, of course, wait once again for the light show to end. There's our first chalice. And then, of course, we're going to do the exact same thing again here. And there's our second chalice. Nice. So, the plan here is, if we were to put down, let's, I'm going to put it down like somewhere over here for now, just as kind of a proof of concept. But the idea here is, and also I'm going to I'm going to take away our one bucket of lava. We can always make another one. But the idea that I'm going to work with here is that if you put lava into one chalice, you see you get these little like lava sparks that fly around. And you put water into another chalice nearby. This will produce water sparks. When those sparks interact, they produce items. So that one goes cobblestone. There are 3 items that can be produced here. Look at that. Obsidian. So this can produce regular stone, cobblestone, and obsidian, right? I believe each time those particle effects collide, it will produce a random item. So if we take our item collector here, and for now we'll just take a chest, I guess, and we put these down over here, we can slowly but surely begin to produce obsidian, cobblestone, and regular stone. It does produce obsidian much less than it does cobblestone and regular stone. Someone in the Twitch chat does ask if this consumes lava. It does use lava, but a very small amount of it. You'll see that to make these 2 bits of obsidian and all this stone here, we've used about 40 millibuckets of lava. So if we wanted to automate this, what we would have to do is we would have to automate the production of netherrack, which is easy enough to do. Ice we have unlimited amounts of, and redstone we're of course getting automatically from our radiant dust in liquid starlight. And then we can, much like we did originally, take that netherrack and put it in light wells to make lava, right? And then you can pump that lava into these chalices. Over here, the chalice is automatically pulling the starlight from the chalices here. However, you can also pipe into the bottom of a chalice. So with this setup, we want to have unlimited water pumped into the bottom of this chalice. It does use water as well. And then over here, we'd also want to have lava pumped into the bottom of this chalice. I think this is really one of the best ways for us to make obsidian. It's not particularly fast, but if we just leave it running, it will slowly but surely back up. Of course, we probably want to get down a couple of storage drawers to actually hold all this. And of course, the main reason we need obsidian right now is to make void upgrades so that we can start, leaving some of our other setups on without fear that things are going to overflow. The reason I think this is the best way really is that the way that we make lava is quite slow. Like putting the netherrack into the light wells does produce lava, but it produces it very slowly, and it doesn't produce a lot. And so while we could, if we wanted to, try and mass produce netherrack to mass produce lava, and then, place down the lava with water and then break it with a block breaker, I think this is probably a better way of doing it. And as a byproduct, we also get regular stone so that going forward, should we ever need it, we don't have to go through the process of smelting cobblestone. For now, we'll probably just end up voiding the cobblestone because we already have a cobblestone generator, but I do think this is a pretty nifty way of generating obsidian here. But yeah, so I think we'll come back to this potentially in the next stream and start looking at automating the production of lava and water. For now though, chat, the last thing that I want to do, of course, in today's stream is circling right back around to the beginning of the stream, and bizarrely, this one's not even done yet. Oh, is it done? Oh, it is done. Let's go ahead and mine this as well. Perfect. But circling back around to the beginning of the stream, I would like to get a dragon egg mill. So the dragon egg mill itself actually is pretty easy. It is going to require 2 nether stars, which is a little bit of a craft, but definitely nothing impossible. The harder part is going to be the actual dragon egg itself, which does require 4 obsidian. Thankfully, we do now have obsidian coming in, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that we do already have 4 obsidian in here. We do indeed. Perfect. So we'll take that. As for the rest of the dragon egg here, we need 2 dragon's breath, which is water and magenta dye. Magenta dye is purple dye and pink dye. Purple dye is lapis and red dye. Red dye we have, lapis we have. Craft those up, that gets us our purple dye. The pink dye, I believe, is bone meal and red dye. Although I assume it's actually just red dye and white dye, and I think we can make white dye using sugar. Sugar we can get from grass. Grass, we can get, I guess we can get grass by bone mealing grass, but that still requires bone meal. So it looks like bone meal might be the easier way of doing this, honestly. Bone meal we can get from bones. Bones we can get from clay and nocturnal powder. I think that might be the easiest way of doing this. It's a bit of a pain, but I don't think there's a better way of us getting white dye. So clay we can get from sandstone, I believe. Let me check that real quick. Oh no, just regular sand. Okay, so we can take regular sand, which of course we are producing now over here. Well, we're not producing at the moment because we don't have the lava down, but in general, we are producing it. And then if we go ahead and throw this guy in over here, now that we have our starlight working, we shouldn't have to worry about running out of starlight here, at least for a little while. Then gets us 4 clay. We can then craft that up with 1 nocturnal powder. This is a quest up in the top left here. I don't think that's going to be too difficult. It is 2 coal, 1 illumination powder, which is glowstone and aquamarine, with lapis and black dye. Black dye, I believe we get from charcoal dust. So if we take, and I don't think we have any charcoal dust. So if we take a charcoal and grind that down, preferably in an empty grinder, this one will do, we can then drop that in water. That's going to get us the black dye. We do need regular coal for this. And thankfully, you can turn a block of charcoal into a block of coal using starlight. So if we take 9 charcoal, give that a quick craft, and then do something like this, that should eventually turn into a block of regular coal. We'll, of course, make it dark again so the starlight can have maximum effectiveness. Over here, this guy is done. We'll take that charcoal dust. We'll drop that in our little waterfall over here. Perfect. That gets us the black dye. Other than that, we also need this illumination powder. So let's grab 4 glowstone. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take that over to our altar, which is admittedly a little bit overkill for this recipe at this point in time, but that's completely fine. Perfect. We do have at least 1 more lapis. And so I think that's pretty much everything. Yeah, we're just waiting for this block of coal now, which I think might have just transformed. It did indeed. Perfect. Let's go ahead and break you, of course, using a regular Minecraft pickaxe. There we go. That gets us the nocturnal powder. Good stuff. From there, we can then finally craft up a bone, which we can then craft into bone meal, which we can then craft with 1 piece of rose red to get pink dye, which we can then finally craft with the purple dye to get magenta dye. And then if we craft the magenta dye with, I believe, glass bottles, I think it was. Bottles of water, even. That gets us the dragon's breath. So let's go ahead and, first of all, clear out a bit of our inventory here. It's a bit full. We do want to make sure we have the glass bottles. We do. So over here, let's do 1 and 2. And then craft those, of course, with that magenta. And that's going to get us the dragon's breath. Beautiful. Okay, that was not actually too bad. Following that, we need a drop of evil. The drop of evil is the nocturnal powder dropped in water. Do you get multiple nocturnal powder? You do. So we should have 3 more nocturnal powder. We totally do. Let's go and drop that in some starlight. For now, I guess we can do that over here, actually. Perfect. That's a drop of evil. And we then need an egg, which requires parchment and a bean. Parchment is 4 paper and an aquamarine. Paper we get from, I believe, grinding wood. Although, let me check that. Yeah, we can grind down wood to get paper. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go grind you down. Again, for now, we'll do this, I guess, over here. Okay, so for whatever reason, dark oak wood is not on the list of wood you can put in the crusher. However, it is on the list of woods that you can put in the grindstone. Which is fine. That seems like maybe a bug. Like, that doesn't seem like that would be intentional. I think we do have a grindstone. Yeah, we totally do. So that's fine. Like, we can make it happen. But I do think that seems like it would be a bug. Not necessarily a feature, but I could be wrong on that, of course. But once we have 4 paper, we can combine that up with, I believe it was 1 aquamarine. To get the parchment. And then we can combine the parchment with the bean. So the bean is 8 seeds and 1 vine. Okay, the vine is made from a ladder infused with starlight. That seems pretty doable. Let's get some planks. Let's get rid of the chiseled planks we have for now. Let's get some sticks. And a ladder. And then, of course, we'll infuse that ladder with starlight. And vines. Cool. Now, the seeds could be a little trickier. They require saplings. If we want to get 8 saplings, we're going to have to put down 8 wood, which is not a problem, but it might take a minute here. I will, again, temporarily unlink the altar, just so we can pump maximum starlight into this wood here to hopefully turn it into a sapling a little bit quicker. While we wait for these to come in, we can look at the elytra here. So the elytra needs 4 feathers, which are also made from paper. So let's go ahead and get 4 more paper over here. This time around, we want to put that paper into the infusion altar. Yes. If we infuse the paper over here, it should turn into feathers. Let's continually swap these out for those extra saplings that we're eventually going to turn into seeds. There's our first feather. And there's our 4th feather. Perfect. All we need then for the elytra is 2 spectre string, which is 4 string, 4 ectoplasm, and a diamond. And then 1 spectre ingot, which you can make with 1 lapis, 1 gold, and 1 ectoplasm. So we're going to need to get 5 ectoplasm. That's 5 resonating gems in a crusher. That is actually perfectly fine. We do have 5 resonating gems. We can put those in that crusher. Swap you out again. We then also need 4 string. String, again, made with clay and nocturnal powder. Thankfully, we do have 1 spare nocturnal powder, so that should be fine. And, of course, we can once again make another piece of clay utilizing our sand. And you can kind of see now why I wanted this here, like, automated and set up before we started working through this, because there's a lot of infusion, and we would have likely needed a lot more starlight than we currently have to actually do this, and it would have required a lot of manual, moving of starlight into different slots. Oh, that gets us 1 string. And we need 4 string. Okay, so we need quite a bit more clay. We need like 3 more blocks of it. That's actually fine. It is going to require more nocturnal powder, which is really the bit that's a little bit painful. It's probably going to be definitely worth us looking at getting a mob spawner going, I think. We can get a mob spawner utilizing that cursed earth with the drop of evil. You can use the drop of evil on dirt to make cursed earth, and the cursed earth will rapidly spawn mobs. We could then look at automating the killing of those mobs. Okay, so I'm being told by the Twitch chat we can't use cursed earth to make a mobs farm. We have to actually, automate the production of clay to make things like this. Despite the fact that you can get the drop of evil, it doesn't actually spawn any mobs. Okay, that should be enough nocturnal powder, I think. So if we do this, and this, and this, we can go and get 2, 3, and 4 string, at which point I think we can go ahead and make our set of spectral string. We do thankfully still have yet another lapis in here, which we can drop for that 1 last diamond. That's not the right block, but thankfully that doesn't destroy the ectoplasm. So boom, that gets us the spectral string. If we then grab 1 lapis and 1 gold, we can also get our spectral ingot, at which point the elytra should be basically good to go, I believe. So spectral ingot and elytra, perfect. And then at that point, we're basically done on the dragon egg, right? We do need to put down 1 more wood here because we need 1 more sapling to make our 8 seeds. We also need to get our obsidian, which I have put away into one of these chests here. There it is. We'll grab that again. We do also have to grind down the oak. Can I do that in a grinder or a crusher? I totally can. So let's put you in up here. Let's also go ahead and steal some of the speed upgrades just to make that a little faster. But finally, that should be the dragon egg. Took a little longer than I was hoping, but it wasn't really too difficult. Thankfully, the easier part here, I think, is going to be the dragon egg mill, which I don't think is going to take us too long. We already have the stone burnt. We already have the ender pearl. The gear is super easy to make, as is the eye of redstone. It's just redstone and ender pearl. And then the 2 nether stars are really, actually, surprisingly easy to make. So let's go ahead and finish up this bit here with our 8th seed. That gets us our first beam. Now, it does say on here, beans can be found in the wild and can also be replanted on dirt/grass. You know what? Let's give it a try. I'm going to try growing a new bean, just to like get some information and see if it's easy to get multiple beans after you have one. It would be ideal if we didn't have to go through that rigmarole again of getting more beans. It does mean we need dirt. Thankfully, dirt is makeable with ice and sand. So if I were to, actually, let's put this down. Let's put this one block lower. Let's actually like embed it in the ground here, just so it can benefit from the nearby water. So it's 85% grown. We do have the watering can in the pack, although someone does mention we have the time in a bottle. Of course, we can speed up its growth like this. And then I'm hopeful we can just right-click that. Oh, we totally can. Okay, cool. So we can now, going forward, get more beans from using this guy right here. Perfect. Okay, so finally, back over here, to make an egg, we need 4 parchment, which we do have, as well as 1 bean. Is that a regular recipe? It is indeed. So bean with 4 parchment gets us an egg. Egg can be crafted into a dragon egg. And then now we need this guy right here. That is going to be, I think, far and away the easiest part of this recipe here. We need 4 redstone. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to get us that redstone gear. We do also get the glass bottles back, which is nice. Perfect. We need a resonating redstone crystal, which I would be surprised if we already have one. But we should definitely have shards left. We totally do. So we can, of course, go and do something like this. Perfect. At that point, we should be able to make, I believe, this guy down here. We totally can. We do need 1 more ender pearl to actually complete the craft, though. So we'll grab another one there. And I think at that point, the only thing we're missing, really, are the 2 nether stars. Stoneburnt-wise, I believe we have stoneburnt ready over here. We do. And so to make 2 nether stars, we need 2 glowstone. Super easy. 2 blocks of shaped radiant quartz, which is also super easy because, of course, we do have this end chest down here, which is now clogged up on crystals. We're eventually, of course, going to turn those into nether quartz, but for now, we can use them for block-making purposes. We also need vibrant infused wood, which I believe is... there's another step, right? It's not just regular infused wood. We've got to take it 1 step further. Like, that gets you infused wood. You then have to... Oh, of course. Throw it in the Starlight Infuser. We'll get 2 of those. And I think the hardest part is going to be the end stone, right? Yeah, we need 2 end stone. 2 end stone is just 2 sandstone infused. And the reason that's the hardest part is it's just going to take a little while. We have to just wait for it. So if we grab 8 sand, craft that up, throw it down, and wait. I guess while we wait, we can, of course, go and grab the glowstone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Thank you, chat. You have indeed corrected me. This is not the right radiant quartz there. We have to first craft it into the shaped radiant quartz and then craft it into block form. Apparently that is an advancement that we have just made. There is our first end stone. So that's going to allow us to make our first of 2 nether stars here. So, 1 more nether star over in here. And we should finally be able to pull all of that together into a dragon egg mill. Beautiful. So for now, we will put this down, I guess, just like over here. We can always move it in the future. But look at that. We are generating 564 grid power. Currently using 30. Of course, if we fly, that goes up to 61. But we're now effectively using about 10% of our grid power as opposed to like the 95% that we were using earlier today. And so we now have much more free reign to set up more automation use the ender porcupines much more liberally, and just to set up a lot more grid power intensive items and blocks going forward in the future. But for now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's stream there.